this fun drafting rolling, it would be here. Because we're going to Volskaya Foundry, and there's a lot of changes that have happened as a result of the towers, which means there's a lot of experimentation that's probably been taking place as teams scrim on this map.
Me and you have different ideas of fun. I like Volskaya as a map, but it's not one I normally have. This is normally one where I play a Perfect Storm Muradin because I have so many opportunities to stack it, but
I'm purely talking about the tower changes were enough of a change that I feel like people have experimented the crap out of this
it's
map.
changed the whole dynamic of this map. Like, this map is probably the most impacted by the changes, and it probably was the leading reason why we needed those changes. So good job, Blizzard. I'm very happy with this map change.
I am too. And because it was so changed, if you're ever asking a team to experiment, I feel like Octalysis is one of them.
Oh yeah. So
maybe we're gonna get some more fun stuff.
I'm just trying to figure out at the end of the season how many different tanks will Justine play. He's so it's one of those things to where you're so talented, it's almost a blessing and a curse, the same way we were talking about some of the other things, because
from the shadows,
he can do so much. And again, I think it's more about team compositions and things like that. But if they can continue to evolve these drafts and play around them to their maximum potential, then yeah, this is one of the scariest teams that we have in this phase.
Now, their team has played Volskaya Foundry in Phase 2, though we did see Tempo Storm when being locked out of some of the sustain supports that were prevalent at the midseason brawl, be willing to play Lucio. They're going to ban Genji here. Is it a Tracer counter ban from Octalysis?
It seems likely, but this is also going to be a map where we have to keep in mind Yrel. We saw first pick on this battleground earlier, and this is probably, again, there's still a lot to figure out with Yrel and her place. Obviously, we see clear signs that she's the offlaner, doesn't lose the lane, doesn't win the lane. Very hard to kill, very tough to kill unless you can get the interrupts. But overall, you can't prioritize her, but you have to prioritize her. Where does she lie? She just got buffed, and I think this is one of her better battlegrounds to hold points. And we'll see if that does have priority here for our teams, as we do get that Tracer counter ban to avoid any of the dive potential that we see from those two heroes.
I feel like we didn't talk, I know we didn't talk about the Malthael ban last game from Tempo Storm.
I think it was...
Or Octalysis.
I think it was more just making sure Diablo stayed safe.
That could be. Johanna, first pick for Caterpillar.
She's strong. And this is another battleground that definitely favors her. She is super strong.
Didn't get it last game, but of course,
Reasons.
we were haymakering. So now, Octalysis, they can leave their tank till the end. They get Yrel. I know Goku is probably ready to get his hands on a new solo laner. So I'm excited to see her in his hands. And then also, your favorite.
Not seeing it. Now, again, I think with the Chromie on the other side, it begs the question of if Sergeant Hammer was considered, would she still be considered when a Chromie's on the other side? We'll find that out. Deckard and Blaze have been picked up, so the core of your team of the frontliners and the supporter there still got question marks on the damage. We know there's still quite a bit left. The Jaina, the Phoenix, the Hanzo are all in consideration with Chromie on the other side. Jaina definitely not likely, so does Octalysis maybe favor that? Because we have seen a lot of Jaina last week and this week from Tempo so far.
Dr. King doesn't have a cleanse to deal with Temporal Loop, but Blaze has a bunker, and Johanna has a self-cleanse. So they're pretty safe versus that. A lot of times see slowing sands for the control point fights anyway with the Chromie. Jaina's going to be the ban from Octalysis. I think that's a very fair ban considering the fact that Fan plays her, but now Vin has also shown. And as long as you're trying to test this new player on the team, I think it's very fair to try to poke at that hero pool somewhat and what is working, not even necessarily for his personal hero pool, but what he's had time to synergize with the rest of this roster.
Tempo, we see the Chromie, we see the Yrel. There's not a lot there. Hanzo is going to be banned out, so Phoenix is still available. Phoenix could be paired here, but then it makes me wonder what would Tempo go with. If Phoenix is here, obviously, Phoenix Tassadar is something you and I were talking about before we came in today, and some of the strengths that it has. It does have some weaknesses. Obviously, Tassadar early game damage, but does do well to pair with somebody like with a Phoenix.
was looking on the wrong sheet. That's probably a Prismat Chromie. He played a lot of Chromie before, so we're waiting on Droided's hero. Last, we have seen Droided play some Zeratul for this team when he wants to be a little bit more aggressive, be that person who gets the assassination, and when Genji's gone, but instead, they get Thrall here.
There has to be something else to this. I don't know if this will be a main tank Urel. The problem that I have is the same problem that we saw last week with the Chromie composition into the hammer. It's that there was a Thrall Zeratul. And the problem is the sustain damage from a Thrall is incredibly hard to come by. And Chromie is skill shot based, so you lack the sustain damage against the team that has blinds and stuns and slows between Johanna and Blaze. We haven't seen a solo tank Urel yet. There has to be something else to this.
Well, let's come back to that. It might just be Thrall setting up more of the engages for Urel, because she sometimes can be kited, although with Avenging Wrath, you can kind of get into the position that you want. They are so survivable, though. Like, Urel gonna be on the point for forever. Thrall, he can do the same. So long as they get another tanky warrior, yeah, but I'm wondering if there's gonna be some sort of like giant killer here for tempo.
Yep, making a return, and there's the Sergeant Hammer. So again, with Urel Thrall, it makes sense to go into a hammer, or excuse me, yeah, into a Sergeant Hammer. That is not easy to do. Like, if you get blinded, you go in.
What if Hammer comes to you?
I don't have the same type of faith. But then again, Maiev, more of a playmaker, not a... The Maiev pick definitely looks more appealing now to get Fan and Ive resets because you're going to be going against triple tank.
We can't forget, though, yes, the Zeratul and Thrall struggled against Sergeant Hammer, but there was a Divine Storm Uther that put the hurt onto those melees.
The thing is, okay, so you mentioned Temporal Loop. I look at every single person on Tempo Storm, and outside of Decker, there is almost self-cleanse for Hammer, Maiev. Obviously,
vault to the Wardens.
Yeah, it can vault out pretty easily.
Every 13 seconds.
At least that's better than 8. Johanna and Blaze obviously do very well, and then Bunker, of course. So those opportunities, slowing Sand seems likely because there's just way too many save opportunities. But again, this is so much on Chromie to land a high percentage of your skill shots that it makes it very difficult. Thrall has to engage so hard. And I got to see how this works. Stitches on this map. You have to land your hooks. You have to land your skill shots. You are at the top of your game if you pull this off.
I want some flank Sunders. I know we have yet to see any Sunders for Thrall, but I thought about it for the Thrall versus Sergeant Hammer last time it happened. We didn't end up getting it. Maybe we get some flank Sunders, then Urel can dive in. Chromie will be untouched because she's just throwing out the bombs.
Sometimes you got to get the Sunder from down under. See if it comes in.
Ooh, love the Nisha's Memento.
Ooh, also Decker, this is something I believe June experimented with last week as well. Going into the quest here at level 1 on his scroll.
Hammer reduction, or armor reduction later on. I got hammer on the brain. Also more of a reveal. The reason why I said I love Nisha's Memento is because of the bounce attacks. You're going to be able to, like you said, have the Fan of Knives procs because you're against so much melee, but then also having the bounce attacks again versus the melee and having that up fairly often as long as Ven can land these. This is Ven playing Maiev. Fan back to his old Sergeant Hammer.
Putting them to work. Well, another very tanky Stitches build. This time, chew your food, getting back extra 10% of your max health over 3 seconds when you do use that. And again, we've seen this against Johanna's is going in, potentially amplified healing at 4, and then of course the potential quest at 7 paired with Fleabag at 13 to really be super tanky. We'll see if that plays out.
That is going to weaken Octalysis wave clear, and J-How, this is not Echo of the Elements.
I just looked up at the same time you said that. I'm like, wait a minute.
This is Crash Lightning Thrall. Remember, this has changed. You have to get the 30 stacks. before you get the prioritizing heroes.
And it's one way to make sure you can get the poke damage against a hammer. It's just, again, stacking it up. And the moments you want those fights around the control points to go longer. See how that plays. Justin throws a hook out, doesn't find anything in the bush. Sergeant Hammer sieged up here. There's going to be some damage dropped. Some armor goes out. It's going to survive. Prismac continuing to land those skill shots as now he finds a little bit easier targets here to continue to stack up.
Hook, root already there, double root. But there's a counter root with the Scroll of Sealing. Vin's trying to take Draded for a ride. No Echo of the Elements means this isn't as of a sustainable build for a Thrall, and that's something really important to keep in mind, not only for Tempo Storm, their aggression, their damage, but for Octalysis too. He's still building into Mana Tide, so he'll have cooldown reduction there, and it's possible we still see a Frostful's Grace. We'll just have to see how this build is adjusted as a result, and if fights are a little bit harder for Draded, since he won't have the double chain lightning to then later on be able to build up Frostbolt resilience quickly.
Will definitely be a point of interest. We'll see as this game unfolds. Control point unlocking in 15 seconds. You can see Tempo, they're clearing their camp. Octalysis had already cleared theirs. They're trying to time that out to make sure they can warrant a response in this top lane. Tempo, they're going to do the same. There's going to be a little bit staggered, so we'll see how this goes. Control point active.
Aegis of Light is an extremely good talent for this map, giving the 35 armor to your teammates. And it's here now as Goku and Glaurung start to rotate up. Hook hits, Fan not getting that self-unstoppable. With the quick response of the double tank there, Sergeant Hammer makes it out alive.
Ven got some nice resets, nice dodge.
Lovely.
The vault there, so Ven looking quite well, quite decent on this Maiev here in the early game. Of course, a lot more to be done to set up these plays and to make yourself a little bit more of a playmaker for this composition. Hammer just gonna chill.
Justin's been hovering around this time trap. You can see, seeing if he can get a hook into it to start to set up makes it easier. You just put the roots right underneath, guaranteeing that you get that follow-up. Oh, it's almost gone.
Level 7 picked up here for Tempo Storm, and going into the subdue for Caterpillar, it's something we know he loves to do, especially just hitting 2 targets. You get value out of it, but with this many melee on the side of Octalysis, it does make it a little bit easier, because if he does complete it, that is insane frontline control. So we'll see. Just hitting 2 members, definitely value, as we'll continue to see how this goes. Mobius, Luke, Gilly.
I know your thoughts on that one. My thoughts are, I need Draded to come down to this fight and start stacking up Crash Lightning, because he's been in top lane quite a while. He's sitting at 4 stacks. It's go time.
54% and counting. Time trap down again. Turret almost expired, finally does expire. Lots of healing potions down in the middle of that. Glaurung joining the fight. Goku trying to hold position. There's going to be a hook.
Oh, man.
Slow's going to be there, but the re-engage here by Ven and Glaurung, they're going in. Ven getting major resets on that Fan of Knives, but the damage seems to be going out against Tempo at this point in time.
Yeah, that slowing sands is pretty problematic. Great Scroll of Sealing. He dives in, he gets the kill, but it'll trade out 1 for 1.
Right now, this fight goes on as we have entered overtime. Again, this is a moment to where you can actually forgo the first protector. It's not as strong, and we have seen teams concede it, and successfully so. The damage goes on. Goku and team putting damage onto Cattle. That's going to force Tempo off for the moment. It's going to give momentary control over to Octalysis. The Stitches and Maiev both just respawn, looking to rejoin the fight.
I think Tempo should be able to retake this. They just have to play the slow, patient game. Go up, get the heal pulse, wait for Vin to come back, heal up. Octalysis have lost a lot of their resources. You can see Prismaticism, he's fairly low on mana. And Octalysis has to keep someone around this point unless they're willing to come up and hope that Tempo Storm doesn't get the jump on it. Instead, they're going to leave Urel there as it continues to climb up. And just let Prismaticism and Draded try to stack up. Yeah,
that's an excellent point. The fact that they are just stacking, they're under no real threat. The engagement tools aren't there unless Ven decides to go in. I think it's too much of a risk. Glaurung's going to get the hammer. The slowing sands are going to be out for now, but Caterpillar and Johanna going in, looking for an opportunity here, Gilly.
Ven has the tether applied. This is going to be the fight for Tempo Storm. They need to get Octalysis off the point. June's taking some damage. Fan and Prismaticism are just going at it in their own 1v1.
Prismat getting the best of that one.
Yes, he is. Pushed away his Fan.
Now here goes Goku in again. Overtime, can they hold? Glaurung comes in on the backside. Prismat making sure he's okay. Octalysis might have done this. Glaurung question on whether he goes in. Tempo has to concede. What a lengthy first control point, Gilly. Look at those numbers. We are sitting almost at heroics before that first protector is picked up.
That was so epic. Tempo Storm got all the way to 99% before they conceded. You saw the Spirit of Vengeance go out, and there was just the hesitation of a second. Like, should I do this? Yeah, I should. Traded the kills. But Octalysis, it gave them enough time to start channeling up, and they didn't overcommit to the heal pulse. They used that opportunity to stack, and they get the protector. It comes straight up to the top lane, and with those heroics, they're working on this fort, trying to take it down. Fan needs to be careful.
Prismat was one of the original Chromie players when Chromie first came out. In that 1v1 tournament that we had that you and I casted a couple years ago, in that 5-on-5, he came out with that Chromie and was destroying people. And so he's one of the OGs on Chromie. He's sitting at 41 stacks here, 7.5 minutes in, has been slain. Obviously, if I'm aiming at a Sergeant Hammer, my accuracy probably goes up, but he is doing so much with his W, with his Q, landing every one of these shots. I said, if you're gonna play this hero, you have to land a high number. So far, he's doing that.
And you know what's been really cool? We saw him keep up constant pressure on Fan. Fan was sort of focused on him, but with that Mobius loop, which I know you and I have had criticisms before, if Fan uses his Neo Steel plating for the 50 armor, with that cooldown reduction that you have of that, he's still being able to slowly whittle down Fan, and Fan's gonna get put in the belly. Yeah, but there's still another route there.
Yeah, that's enough. Insta gone.
I mean, that is something that Octalysis has been known for since the inception of this team, initially as Team 8. It's those focus fire kills that started with the Medivh and sometimes also featured the Gorge. It's an old classic for this team.
Well, I wondered if we would go questing. Instead, we're going Tenderizer at level 7 as we start to take a look at the talents again. Getting the basic attacks slows enemy heroes, which does make it easier to land those skill shots on. Gives you a little bit more control over that front line. So not going in to the questing talent. So we'll see if we still see Fleabag. It's still generally going to be the #1 option. We'll find out here in a second as Octalysis and team holding point. It will be Fleabag.
We haven't seen a Warden's Cage yet, but important to remember that the avatars last 2 seconds less now, 5 seconds instead of the 7. Lornado seems to be a June favorite.
Yeah, he's the one that's experimenting with builds the most, and this is something that we've seen. There's going to be another scroll going down, sitting at 19 stacks, almost completed there. There's going to be a hook on the Glaurung. Oh, nice bunker. Justine actually did a really good job just stepping directly into that jet propulsion, keeping Glaurung locked in, forcing out that bunker. 60-second cooldown, no longer 50. Should be back up, though, in time for the next control point fight.
Yeah, and the second you see that slowing stance, you can already theorize that Chromie's going to be by Stitches to provide that damage. But you see that slowing stance, you're like, oh, I've got to drop this because the Chromie damage is a-coming. So it's a nice pickup for Octalysis. A 10-second extra pickup, too, because of that cooldown change. Though we'll be back in 20 seconds. And Blaze survived, so that was the most important thing. Octalysis leading the charge in experience by a little less than a level, but Tempo Storm not far behind will definitely be able to contest as this control point will be unlocking in a mere 30 seconds.
Few updates. Chromie, 43 stacks on that baseline, still 17 stacks away before getting that clone, and Crash Lightning sitting on 14 out of 30. Before you get that impact, Vengeful Roots, 8 unlimited stacking, but obviously more utility at times than it is actual damage, so see how that goes out. But we are on even talent tiers as the next control point will be active soon. Tempo Storm should rotate up. It looks like they're rotating up to take this fight. Time for more fireworks.
Return to the Caterpillar Subdue build, which again versus so many melee makes sense, though Maiev will be liking to get those resets of her Phantom Knives. Aldor Peacekeeper with the damage reduction for Vindication may be enough to try to stop that. Another hook.
Got him behind the wall.
Glaurung's going to be back behind the wall.
Bunker's there, but I don't see a world where this goes. Goku, however, still on the backside. They do get the sidewall down. Tornado's going to be there. Perfectly done to get that sidewall down by Tempo. I thought for sure he'd get out of there, but Hook's going to bring him back in. Roots are going to go down. No Bunker this time. Glaurung falls. Cattle, he's in the middle of the fray. He's starting to get slowed. He's starting to take damage. Iron Skin's going to be used. He's walking away. The heals are going in. Goku trying to get the lockdown. The Scroll's going to get enough of a peel there. June. Oh my goodness.
Man, they were so close to saving him. Lornado, hold on jet propulsion, taking down the small wall, communicated so well, and then the dagger in the back, or should I say the hook in the back that claimed the life of Glaurung. But like you said, June, really well done to at least cut their losses and save Johanna. Unfortunately though for Tempo Storm, it means they're giving up a lot of this control point, and it seems with this rotation to the bottom lane, they're gonna give up all of it.
Again, the fort walls give you nowhere near as much experience, so when that protector comes in, you cannot idly sit down here and say that getting a fort wall is worth it anymore. You just can't do that. So now the protector, if you stay down there any bit longer, this protector could move into keep wall. Tempo, they're going to go ahead and back out, and justifiably so. Octalysis, we'll see them rotate down. Goku probably looking for a passenger in his ride. He's got some friends.
Who calls shotgun? It's Buds.
Of course, the support.
They're looking for a siege on mid, trying to take out all these forts, all the wells. Less of a reinitiation, set them up for a possible hook.
Fort goes down, Bunker was used there. They're gonna rotate down. Did do a little bit of damage in the bot lane already in that previous rotation, so should be able to clean up the entire wall, then take the well. Might be able to move forward, but look at the positioning for Tempo. They're actually coming in. Okay, I was gonna say maybe they were coming in for the flank. They're actually just getting 16 off the wall now, but they're gonna give up a fort in the process.
Yeah, there's an assault camp top. Fighting underneath the protector is hard. And what we're seeing is, like you said, teams trying to go for that counter experience to catch back up by going for fort towers and it just not having the same result. Teams are also responding to that very well, ensuring that the most you get is towers. Teams like Freedom and even Tempo Storm having the right rotations and the right split of their teammates so that you never get any fort damage for free. Because of that, Octalysis maintains a level lead, though Tempo Storm have plenty of time to try to figure out this puzzle.
I wish I could say that we've had some significant updates on the questing talents, but Chromie at 51, only 8 more than where we saw, and Crash Lightning still at 14.
Wow, you went through an entire control point. But I guess that fight was fast and furious. And after that, Tempo Storm was left trying to siege elsewhere.
I believe you might have mentioned it earlier, but Ancient Blessings obviously picked up at level 13 for Deckard. I want to see that interaction. It's, you know, with the Sergeant Hammer here getting those big splash damage. It already splashes, but now the splash up the splash.
Huh. Splash squared?
Splash, splash, more splash?
Either way, it's going to give you some self-heal, which if Prismaticism continues to make fans' life a living hell, he will want trying to keep healed up. But it's the stalemate of Volskaya Foundry. This team just rotate around and get what camps they can on their side of the map, look for opportunities to get some picks, or siege with a hammer.
I mean, that's one thing that happens here is that when you go questing heroes on a map like this, your questing kind of stalls out when it requires heroes to be part of that equation. There's going to be a hook. The roots go down, not enough to lock in Glaurung, just out of view there, so maybe able to make it out beforehand.
That camera angle was the best camera angle. We're just watching Sergeant Hammer, and you see the fishing hook out of nowhere.
Unable to pass through that corner of the terrain. It's a nice hook, but unable to make it through that. If he had been down maybe a few pixels further, it gets the hook through. Not sure if that's a gorge target. Obviously, Johanna very, very tanky, but we have seen teams make that attempt before.
Octalysis are just responding to where Tempo Storm go. Tempo Storm hoping for anything, answers. A slow rotation on Octalysis just are not giving that, but they're also not giving the fight, which is most important. The most they'll do is pull one of these.
Oh, I heard that jet propulsion wind up. It did not go. There's going to be a root. Glaurung taking damage. Bin coming in, looking to maybe counter-engage, but Glaurung able to heal up. Going to take a little bit more damage.
That Juggernaut plating pretty good here.
Oh.
Please, Glaurung, please.
Just go. Just go.
I'll never let go. I'll keep tanking these hooks.
If you love them, let them go. That's what you gotta say.
I don't think Justin follows that at all with the stitches.
If you love them, get in my belly.
He has a homing missile just for Blaze.
Well,
only for Blaze.
My whole thing is that if you're gonna run this composition, you better be extremely accurate. And so far, both Justine and Prismet have been extremely accurate, especially when it matters most. With 20 on the horizon here for Octalysis, they recognize this. Send Goku down to the bottom alone. Use Chromie for that safe poke. Slowing sands and time traps galore. Now going to be coming out with that level 18 upgrade for Chromie.
That's annoying. And the reason why you do see that Urel, because she has Divine Steed, so she gets that extra few seconds of the increased movement speed. Oh, another one of those. Frustrating. 4 gained by Tempo Storm, but it doesn't get them 20. Octalysis are almost there. Urel's been channeling this entire time. Tempo turns to the heal pulse. Anything they can get to try to survive this oncoming onslaught.
They're getting dangerously close to 20. See if Tempo at least tries to feign positioning. There's a wave mid, there's a mounting wave bottom. See if it's enough time. I don't think it is. I think they're just going to try and find defensive capabilities. Again, normally this is one of the more condemning areas to be in against the Protector at this time, but I think that the normal trade that you see where you have to give up bot keep wall, that's a thing of the past. Like in this instance, it used to be like clockwork that Team Octalysis would have just pushed in that bot keep wall and set this up for an end. But now, that's no longer the case. Giant Killer on the other side with Sergeant Hammer sieging up. I mean, this Protector will likely get keep, but this is a different look than what we're traditionally used to seeing here on Volskaya.
Well, Tempo Storm's a lot more disciplined, and they have kept up with the rotations, getting just here and there chip damage on structures to get them almost to 20. Now they're at 20, so they feel okay. It's still a Protector to fight under, so you still have to be cautious, but they have things like Bunker, and they do have that Sergeant Hammer with the Giant Killer at 16.
One thing to keep in mind, that top camp that was picked up, those camps are pretty strong as we see the hook going out, waiting for another wave of minions, just getting some long-range poke in here from the Protector. You still have 50 seconds left. There's plenty of time on it. And Sergeant Hammer, again, sieging up, waiting for these minions to come in, get the lockdown on the keep, and look for them to potentially re-engage. That Q that you get from the driver is generally going to be the most significant amount of damage, but you can see they are scared to go in. They're not even going to get the keep here.
Yeah, because think about what happened last map when Octalysis tried to push in on a keep. Tempo Storm wrecked them in a fight. They went straight after them, but they definitely need to get this keep if they can. They just can't get Prismaticism into a position where he feels safe to drop the bombs on that. And this isn't Dragon's Eye, this is Mobius Loop, so it's less damage dropped on that every time he does. He throws in a little bit more damage, but they have to be careful. A Blessed Shield out of this Protector, that's Malfurion inside there. If the stun lock happens and he gets taken out, that's worst case scenario.
Orbital BFG was picked up, saw that just kind of go out, trying to do double damage to deal damage to that mid fort, which is a retreat point for Octalysis. Next control point will be mid, so start peppering away at that. Also gives you some wave clear if it can hit the minions, but not taking down that keep is a significant loss here for Octalysis. It's the trouble of Sergeant Hammer. It's just really hard to move into that.
Hungry, hungry stitches. Earthen shields. Serenity, this is... They had a lot of healing, but it's... We haven't seen a single Warden's Cage, have we? It's a scary comp to try to step into, regardless of the Sergeant Hammer. Deckard Cain, he doesn't have Stay While and Listen, but he still has Scrolls of Sealing with Scroll of Stone Curse. Warden's Cage too.
Well, back to the drawing board for these teams as we'll see how this continues to play out. A lot of it will, again, come down to can you get the pick? There's going to be the pick. Spirit is already out. I don't think there's a way to retreat here. See if he gets any type of safety. Warden's Cage, there's your Warden's Cage, Gilly. I don't think that's how you want it to be used.
Not so much. And the stun lock was really excellent from Octalysis to keep Maya from being able to get away there. And the heal pulse.
Well, they have 2 of them.
Right, but it was on Maiev.
Oh,
so
yes.
they got that steal.
There's another one if they want to go, but I think they're going to prioritize the keep. I was wondering if they would go and give up the protector, or give up this healing pulse first. They are going to give up the protector, seeing if they, or excuse me, not the protector, but the healing pulse. There is where you use the broccoli. You just use it as a form of eat this keep shot. I believe you can eat 3 or 4 at this level. I think 4 before it dies, barring it takes no other damage. So it's one way to make sure you can siege up on keeps and forts pretty easily.
You know, I just thought about this, but one thing's for certain, Tempo Storm has not had the level of control over items that they would like to this game, and that's on Octalysis and how swift their responses have been to Tempo Storm. They want to respond and be where Tempo is because that's how they get hooks. That's how they stack. It is everything that they want to do.
I'm looking at Hammer's position. I wonder if she's going to try and line up, or if Fan is going to try and line up a new orbital to maybe focus that well as the mid keep and across the control point. I think that's what he's getting in position to potentially do. I don't know if it's necessary because you still need it. It's a long cooldown, and you need it for a potential team fight mechanic. So I think they're going to hold on to that and just allow that to continue to pepper down mid-keep. Knowing that the control point is that close, it's probably best not to use it, but wondered if that was the positioning that we were going to see.
I thought I heard a Gorge.
They've got a Glaurung. Looks like they've got more here, though, Gilly.
There's going to be Warden's Cage. Glaurung jet propulsion out. Cage is on Draded and Goku, but Draded used the Earthquake just fine. Totally fine, and Goku dives out.
2 turrets were used there on the side of Tempo. That is, oh, you mentioned item control. That is 2 items that are no longer in their hands. We'll see how it plays out here. The channel control, remember, you do not lose control unless they step off and you regain control. There's going to be the self-cleanse there. Very short cooldown. There's going to be a drag in. Justin taking a lot of damage from Fan on that. He's going to land the hook in return, though. There's going to be the cleanse, dodging that root, essentially, with that self-cleanse.
Orbital BFG continuing to work down that keep. And as you said, Seraphim, that self-unstoppable for Urel on a 10-second cooldown. So Goku is fine to use that both as an engage when he wants to use it so that he doesn't get interrupted, but also to disengage in those situations. Still has Ardent Defender. Lornado is going to be used right now, separating the team. Goku, though, on the other side of this bunker, doing what a Urel likes to do, which is just survive.
And now that is Glaurung stuck between a rock and a hard place. Kill number 1. Cattle looking for the re-engage. Now he is in trouble. Comes in with the condemn. They get the trade on the Stitches. Indestructible was used there. And Ben getting massive resets. Ben just barely dodging it, but Goku trying to get the lockdown. Ben somehow survives, but Cattle still holding on the point, trying to control this. But the infinite healing, trying to get around. Oh, there's the indestructible. The shield was elsewhere.
Yeah, the shielding potion likely to be the culprit from that. Either way, it procs in the end, and Octalysis, again, just like the first in the same control point, stop Tempo Storm from getting a protector here. That is painful bullet that just came by. The keep did eventually go down to the orbital BFG, but Octalysis now has 15 more seconds until Blaze is back. Can Tempo Storm get back here in time? Because I really don't think that they can get through another protector. This is another late game scenario, just like we had in the first game, and this time it keeps already down.
Stitches and Blaze about to make their way back onto the battlefield. Johanna again repositioning, seeing if he can make something happen. 1 turret down, zoning off for the moment, 80% and climbing. Will send it to overtime if Cattle stays on. The unlimited healing potions, they continue to spawn here for Cattle, keeping him very tanky and living here on the back. Prismat continuing to try and rain down bombs. Ben, however, very scary position for Octalysis. They cannot lose sight of him.
Justing is back, so is Glaurung, and this is it. This is for all the marbles in this game 2 between Octalysis and Tempo Storm. Glaurung's gonna jet propulsion in, and he's hungry, gets everyone off this point, but they're back down in time to start the overtime, and Goku drives back in.
Ben trying to make plays happen, but the first one's gonna fall. 2 members are down, 3 members are down on the side of Tempo. Tempo is now falling apart. Glaurung trying to get away, putting down the oil, trying to get the heal. Jet propulsion, I don't think it matters. This is going to be a protector picked up by Octalysis and showing the resiliency here in the late game. Fan, he's going to try and backdoor on the core, but Sergeant Hammer, as strong as your auto attacks are, I think the protector wins this race, and it's going to be all for naught. Tempo Storm going to fall 0-2 here in this best of 5.
Tempo Storm is showing us their best Fnatic impression. This shield's going down pretty quickly. They have Glaurung there too.
The protector's about to look at that.
The catapults, fans taking a lot from that too, but even still, Tempo Storm fighting to the bitter end. Both of these games versus Octalysis. But Octalysis prevails yet again.
Sergeant Hammer proving not to be invincible. Prismat, that game though, just...
Prismat was the Sergeant Hammer killer, and Stitches was the Blaze Eater.
85,000 damage, only 2 deaths, and those were both on your tank, which are definitely forgivable. The fact that Buds did so well in keeping everybody alive, and the damage, you got to wonder, where did it come from? That's the problem that we see. Oftentimes, Gilly, when we see a Maiev, it's generally paired with another melee assassin to kind of make up, because Maiev can do some damage, but it's never going to be a lot of damage unless people are super clumped for very long. This isn't Hero League. This is competitive here. And so finding those opportunities are very slim, which is why Thrall has been a common pairing with the Maiev. Blaze doesn't necessarily put out damage, and I think they struggled finding kills with that. The best pairing has always been with that extra assassin, unless you have somebody else doing some major damage, but Sergeant Hammer just couldn't put enough pop into it, so tempo 0-2 now. I
thought the positioning of Octalysis was so good that whole game that it was until 20 minutes in or something to that effect before we finally saw a Warden's Cage, and even then it was not optimal situation for a Warden's Cage. It's just that there were that many melee, and yet you're looking at Stitches, who wants to hook. He was trying to bring people in, even getting fishing hook, and then Thrall's off more to the side trying to poke with his lightning, and then it just never was really the opportunities that you would have thought Maiev would have had in that situation.
It is, and this is a substitute player coming in for a team that has been at the top of their region for quite some time, at or near the top, and you're expecting them to make plays. I don't think it was necessarily bad. I think compositionally, the Stitches was a good pick.
Yeah.
Thrall wants to stay in against that. Chromie had time traps galore, and so where do you find those moments to engage? And I think those are learning opportunities for him. It's like, can we make this happen? I think it's also a learning opportunity for Tempo to try and move into that style of composition. But as much as I kind of question the draft, Octalysis, they pulled it off. They were so accurate, though, on those hooks and the Chromie skill shots. I said, if you are hitting skill shots not on one, but on both heroes, then you have a much better chance, and a significantly higher chance, because that is a hard composition to pull off.
Yeah, I cannot believe how many hooks landed. And, I mean, yeah, the Chromie versus Sergeant Hammer, you can land a little bit more, but he still made fans' life not too much fun that game. And with that, Octalysis is up 2-0. We're going to head to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more of this series and more of the Heroes Global Championship. Stick with us.